think you guys are gonna like what I have to say about this whole James Mangold situation with Indy 5. But I'm gonna say it anyway. Hello everyone, I am Mecha Random 42. I should just change it and shorten it to Mecha, but then everybody would spell it wrong. I'm a consumer advocate harpy, and your favorite one at that. And when I see directors just crapping all over their viewing audience, I do like to point it out and say, hey, if you insult us to your face, that's not a way to, I don't know, get us to want to watch it or pay money. So when I see something like this with James Mangold, who's directing the Indy 5 movie, my first instinct is to say and jump in and say, hey, you're crapping all over people in the community. Again, you're crapping all over your viewing audience. You are, literally, he's throwing a temper tantrum after fans voiced concerns about his upcoming. So, long story short, he's mostly butthurt that people are not praising him for his brilliant vision of what he's going to do with Indiana Jones 5, and are instead pointing out that Lucasfilm has given us nothing but shit for the past few years with all of the Disney Star Wars movies, right? The new sequel trilogy that's been pretty crap. Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull has its defenders. But the people who actually grew up with the 80s Indiana Jones movies don't like it because it's another unnecessary sequel just to try and grift money out of the unsuspecting public by saying, oh, you need a new movie. No, you don't. Third movie, it's fine. He rides off into it's a perfect ending. You don't need to see and then what who cares? Make a new thing. Make a new thing for new fans to latch onto, so we don't have this cultural divide and this shift of people who liked the originals but don't like the new one. And you have people who like the new one who are much, much younger, who were very young when the new one came out. And that's what's going to be happening again. Now you're going to have a third generation of people you're going to try and indoctrinate into whatever crap you're going to be preaching to them. Here's the thing. Now this, I wanted to pull up this article and show you guys all of what he said, all of his interaction. And of course we covered a little bit of this yesterday where we discussed, I had Rob on here. And if you like that, definitely go check out his channel. We did discuss that the only thing incorrect here is that Matthew Kadish is going with older information. Collider reported it. That Jonathan Kasdan was going to be writing it. Alright, James Mangold jumps in. I already talked a little bit about this. He's stating that Butterworth and I started from a blank page. So he's writing the script himself with somebody called Butterworth, not Mrs. Butterworth. Matt Kadish is still right, though, with his first 3 points, which we did talk about. That, yes, Harrison Ford's 78 years old. He's not an action star anymore. Kathleen Kennedy is resentful to the viewing audience. And Steven Spielberg isn't there. So what if they're right beside him? That doesn't matter. Harrison Ford isn't a creative type. He is the guy who says the lines. He reads the words. He's the guy in front. He might as well just be the hat at this point. Okay? Because that's all you're using him for. That's all they're using him for. He might as well just be the hat and the whip just on a freaking mannequin at this point. Because that's all they're doing with these characters. And that's as important as these characters are. They're still very iconic and very important. And they are your heroes. I don't want people to be mad at me and by saying like I'm trying to minimize the importance of these characters, but to the producers and to the directors, Harrison Ford isn't a creative. He's not a visionary. He's not writing the damn movie. He's not Spielberg and Lucas coming up with these characters. Mangold wouldn't stop there though. He continued to insult. Yeah, well, that's the problem. He just got so damn butthurt. So I think I met most of these people in person at Star Trek Las Vegas a couple of years ago. We don't have basements, but we do have a kick-ass studio with a Batman statue. So they respond and they have a podcast. Definitely check them out if you want to. He says, yeah, there's a kick-ass studio. Congrats on the Batman statue and the jar of corks. So how about you let me finish the film and then bitch all you want in front of your vinyl bricks lit by your fancy bounce light, and maybe don't call an opinion news. Well, I don't think he did. This doesn't say anything about news. This is Matt Kadish. James Mangold isn't even added. He's not tagged. He's just out there because he's so damn obsessed with what people are going to think of his movie. He's just a triggered little baby. Before Mangold described Kadish as a clickbaiter and nightcrawler, he wrote in response to a Twitter user encouraging him, "Thanks, Axe. I don't mind people griping and prognosticating," I hope I'm saying that right, "but on my watch, false info, ageism, and snark from our so-called journalists is going to be corrected directly and forcefully." I don't remember Matt Kadish saying he's a journalist so much. I mean, he's written books. I think he's been published on a couple of sites for op-eds. I don't remember him being, like, calling himself a journalist. Not only that, he's just a dude on Twitter with an opinion here. If you scroll up and action, where does it say anything? You're the idiot who's deciding that they're acting like journalists by putting out opinion on Twitter. What the crap's wrong with you? Are you that concerned that your script is shit and that we know about it, that you gotta go on damage control now? Is that what this is? You're trying to go, but you're making it so much worse, other than just saying, "Hey, glad you're interested." Something like that. Do something. But you go on Twitter, act like a goddamn baby. Mangold would then go back and forth with Kadish. Kadish would respond, another user, about his concerns about Ford's age. He wrote, "Ford will always be indie. The issue is whether he's still believable as the character, if he's doing crazy action scenes and pushing 80. We've seen this with Picard. They didn't even want to insure Patrick Stewart in the beginning. So he was reduced to just standing around apologizing for it. This is why we might be concerned." And James Mangold, partly responsible for why Patrick Stewart was standing around apologizing in Picard the whole damn time. Because of what he did with Logan. Because Patrick Stewart got it in his fucking head that he's a creative type all of a sudden. And that he needed to have some input on this Picard series that he wasn't even supposed to be involved in the first place. It was going to be a short trek about young Picard, played by somebody completely different. And then they decided to bring in Patrick Stewart, and he's like, "Oh, well, I don't want to come back unless it's a completely different character." And then they bring him back, and he's like, "What if he's at the end of his life, examining how his life choice?" So just like Logan. So just like fucking Logan. So this is why we might have some concern, because do we really, really want to sit there watching Indiana Jones wheeled out, needing his diaper changed by a bunch of young women who are going to take the fucking whip from... You know that's going to happen with Kathleen Kennedy's Lucasfilm right now. So the fact that Mangold is so goddamn butthurt over this, first off, that tells me people praised him a little too hard for his involvement in the Logan thing. This is why I'm so harsh with it, by the way. By the way, for all you know, I could be addressing your worries. How do we know? You're fucking Hollywood, though. You are Hollywood. I don't trust any of them. And any of these YouTube channels who go and say, "Oh, well, we need to give it a shot. We need to," because even me, I'm like, I want to give fucking He-Man a shot. Doesn't mean I'm not going in low and like, okay, now Kevin Smith doesn't actually like it. I want to like it, but I'm not going to pretend like there aren't some giant red flags that need addressing, that I'm going to be noticing and remembering, because you can't just ignore these things once they're issues, unless you're a goddamn brainless, mindless fucking NPC robot who doesn't know shit about shit, who can just sit there and turn off their brain and say, "Yes, Hollywood, give me everything to consume, no matter what names they call you." Then yeah, I'm gonna go in with some sort of a bias or some sort of a history or memory that, yes, the older movies were better, especially in the case of Indiana Jones. So yes, anybody who says, "Going in by," yeah, we're going to be, because I can't turn off my memory of the original movies, now can I? Sir, I would love it if you proved me wrong. I made a great Indiana Jones movie. I've been an indie fan since I was a kid, and it's one of my all-time favorite franchises. But it's hard to get excited over what I'm seeing. So James Mangold's basically throwing a temper tantrum because Matt Kadish got the wrong writer. Hey, maybe he's gonna put Kathleen Kennedy in her place. I don't think so, because she does have a history of firing more people than she's hired. And the only people that she actually wants to work with are people like Rian Johnson, who are just gonna kiss her ass. I'm sorry you're finding it hard to get excited about a film I'm making, Matt, considering you don't know any of the story, the script, the title, only some of the cast, and you've not seen any images. If I were you, I'd spend less time flipping hot takes about something that exists. You know what, Mangold? If I were you, I'd be spending less time dragging out old franchises that need to have been put out of their misery 20 years ago. We did not need a fourth movie, let alone a fifth one. You're making the fifth goddamn Indiana Jones movie. Like I pointed out yesterday, you're not curing cancer. You're not changing the world. You're making the fifth movie in a series of movies that had 3 good movies more than 30 years ago. They're done. They're over. It's done. Why are you bringing up this corpse? Why are you resurrecting a franchise that is dead and should stay dead? That is the problem. This is why I yell. This is why I'm angry. And this is why I'm going to have to freaking use a limiter when I do my editing, because my voice is going to be all over the place. If you would have cared to enlighten me about your story or anything else you'd be comfortable sharing, I'd love to hear it. But so far, everything I have seen or heard is not encouraging. Please set me straight. I've argued with people in writers' rooms on movies and sets back when I worked in Hollywood. But even if it was just over the internet, I'm free to share my opinions wherever the hell I want about whatever I want. And that I totally agree with. Why the hell is this director deciding that people can't have an opinion? All right? You're deciding that people can't have an opinion. Tell us about your Hollywood experiences. Give me some titles you worked on so we can be on equal footing. So now Mangold's like, oh. Apparently, Twitter users are now required to submit movie opinion permit applicators to Mangold for his explicit approval. That's a good one. Nah, that's not what I was saying. I was coming after a vendor selling clicks, not fans. Sort it out, too. Who's a vendor selling anything? Are they even monetized? I don't even think Matt Cadish is monetized on his YouTube channel. Correct me if I'm wrong. For crying out loud, what the hell's wrong with these directors? Oh, you're just monetizing it for clicks. Yeah, anytime anybody else does come out with information, look at what Clownfish has come out with Kevin Smith. He throws a goddamn temper tantrum because what? They leaked it. That's what happens with me in Star Trek too. I leak something that they don't want you to leak, then they throw a temper tantrum and they say you're doing it for clicks. Like when I spilled the beans that they had no fucking clue what they were doing on Star Trek Discovery because the actors said so at panels. And then they want to say, oh, you're clever at editing. Here's the raw file. Oh, you're good at editing. I can't hear it because it doesn't have any editing. And that's what the problem is with all of this stuff. And that's why I'm like, you know what? Screw Hollywood. Screw Hollywood. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, make sure to hit that like button. And if you want to see more, don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next video. Bye.
I'm truly sorry. And I am sorry